May we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Eater,
Here.
Counselor Astorgan,
Here.
Counselor Donahue. Here. Counselor Ott is absent. Counselor Hooper. Here. Counselor Fowl,
Here.
Counselor Hill,
Here.
Mayor Wall.
Here, thank you. Do we have any presentations or guests?
No, I don't think we do.
Okay. And no citizens? No?
No.
Okay. We received one item of correspondence, an invitation to the transfer of the monastery property. You're asking that we RSVP by March 11th. So if you're gonna go, RSVP, please. Okay. Next, we have review of accounts payable. Let's start with Councilor Eater, if you have any,
I do not.
Councilor Donahue.
I think I know this answer, but, for you, what kind of laptops are you guys buying? Like, cost 1,400, the Surfaces, is that right?
Which
Yeah.
Okay, student council or anything?
No.
Can you? Councilor Stora? Councilor Fowl?
I got a couple, help educate me. The chlorine and sulfur, is that something that's usual that I just have not caught on for a year?
Chlorine and sulfur dioxide
Yeah, is that something that we use on the regular?
for the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. The other one, just because I'm nosy, I assume taser cartridges must go bad.
We use them, we have to recertify them,
Okay,
so we have to buy new ones and they're spendy.
okay, I noticed that, because I figured it was either training, they expired, or you guys tased way more people than we anticipated.
Training, training,
That's good to know, though. It's training.
I'll let you know next time.
Okay.
And then the building permits to Marion County. So do we have to? Did we have permits that we needed to pay for, or do we pay like a percentage to them for their review?
So it depends on how the permit is taken in. They go online to Excella, then they just cut us a check to us. When they walk in the door, we take the full fee and then have to give Marion County their.
Oh, okay. That was my last. Yes, that was my last one.
Council Hopper? Good. I'm good. So we shall move on. To the consent agenda, we have 2 meetings to approve minutes of. Works, actually, this is. The work session was January 30th. And our meeting was February 5th. So. Anyone have any corrections or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Eater, second by Councilor Fowl to approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Counselor Hill.
Aye.
Counselor Fowl.
Aye.
Counselor Eater,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astoria,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue. Aye. Counselor Ott is absent. Mayor Wall.
Aye. Okay. Moving right along. Item 9 is the second reading of ordinance number 776. I can find it, I'll read it. Yes. Anyway, this is adopting our housing needs analysis. And this is an ordinance amending the Mount Angel Comprehensive Plan, ordinance number 776. So, since we considered this at our last meeting, does anyone have anything they'd like to bring up? I see Council Fowl has his finger up.
There's one minor correction that I noticed in here, and that is attachment A has item 11 removed as it was read at the last meeting. But the ordinance references exhibit B, section 3 says amend identifying comprehensive plans and policies as under exhibit B of this ordinance. The exhibit B in the packet does not have number 11 struck through the same as, so we struck through it in exhibit A, but not exhibit B. So just as long as that correction is.
Get that, Colby?
Yep, I'll make the correction.
We'll change that before it's signed. Anything else? Start it? No? No? Okay, then I will entertain the motion in the second reading of ordinance number 776.
I move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 776, finalizing the housing needs analysis and amending the non-local comprehensive plan. Second.
And second, I have a motion by Councilor Donahue, a second by Councilor Holfer. Roll call, please.
Councilor Ott is absent. Councilor Hill. Aye. Councilor Powell. Aye. Councilor Eager.
Aye.
Councilor Hooper. Aye. Councilor Scorga.
Aye.
Councilor Donahue. Aye. Mayor Wall.
Aye. Okay. After many months, we have housing needs analysis adopted. Great, thank you. So we'll move on to item 10, the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just run through my list. Stop me if you have any additional questions or comments. Regarding the grind and overlay pavement project near the fountain at the railroad crossing, we've had one bid so far and are waiting on bids before moving ahead. Of the one, well, with the one bid that we've got, was also one of the previous bidders. But thanks to you and your map that you provided, we were able to use that, and that came out very favorably with one company, and we haven't received anything more from the other two. Alan's going to be reaching out and touching base with the other two, but as long as we try, we're okay. So we should be able to move ahead with that actually as soon as we can get it scheduled. As I'm sure everybody saw, the delineators came down, and actually they came down very easily at Oaken Church. Actually, I just walked along, they all came down. They didn't move them down very well. We replaced them with one of the options, which was some ceramic domes, 8-inch ceramic domes, which are mostly staying in place. One disappeared over the weekend. I'm not sure where it went, but I'm sure it's sitting on somebody's table at home or in their man cave or somebody. I don't get it, but whatever makes them happy. They were able to get it loose and take it away. So it's not in the area. However, I think it looks much better without the delineators there, and I think it gets everybody's desires. I've watched buses go through there today, and everybody seems to be able to navigate it pretty well. So I think we hit the mark. I will say that I thought that perhaps my I burned all my bridges with ODOT, trying to get to a resolution over that issue. Turns out I haven't. ODOT is still, my main contact with ODOT is still going to be putting $1 million towards the ADA ramp project to put in high visibility crossings through town. She's just trying to convince ODOT to do the right thing and do those projects together as opposed to doing them separately. Because they usually they'll do an ADA project, and then they'll do a high visibility crossing project. They rarely do them together. So she's urging them to do the right thing, which is to do them together, do it at one time, as opposed to breaking ground multiple times.
Somewhere in the doctor, Steve, years.
So as you all have seen, and I think I mentioned in one of my weekly updates, while upgrading the water meter for the old Wells Fargo Bank building, the crews located an issue with our storm line, which runs along North Main Street and then crosses underneath the 76 station. Our city engineer has come up with a solution to the issue, and we were looking into whether or not we can do it with a simple change order to the original project, or whether we need to go to bid in order to solve the issues with the storm drain. We hope to get that resolved very shortly. Correct? Yes. I met with one of the aides from Senator Merkley's office this time. What I had learned from them at previous meetings is that there was a grant out there and there was grant opportunities for some significant earmark money. Once I sat down and explained some of our projects that are in town, when I explained what we were hoping to get done on Railroad Avenue, he thought about one grant in particular, and he gave me all the information for it, and I put in for it. That required a letter of support from ODOT. ODOT looked at that request and went, no, because it's not on the right kind of street, so you're not eligible under this grant. So I fed that back to the aide from Merkley's office. He then pointed me in the direction of a different grant, which I was able to put in for. I got a letter back saying, yeah, you qualify and we think this is a great project. And so without saying, yes, we're giving you $500,000 for sure, I'm waiting on final approval for earmark from Senator Biden's office to assist us with the railroad avenue. So pretty darn cool. And actually earlier that week, Alan and I were there at a work session for the county commissioners for the Railroad Avenue project, the CIP project. And the cool thing was they were kind of battling amongst themselves about how much money they were going to give us. So it's either going to be 250,000, but 500. And if they're able to provide another applicant with sufficient funds out of a different account, then they're going to give us the 500,000. So we're just kind of sitting back and waiting for the final word from Marion County. So if we are truly fortunate in our acquisitions, we will have secured $1 million in grant funding for the railroad, which made for a really great Friday. We have one new police candidate in background investigation. Actually, that started yesterday. On Thursday this week, I'll be assisting the Abbey in regards to an emergency management scenario. The scenario is an arson fire in the Abbey Church. Actually, some guy runs in and sets the organ on fire. And then I talk them through what they're going to do in the response. Should be very valuable to all involved and get them to take a look at their response recovery protocols. I'm sure that you've all seen that I'm cruising around in the old Tahoe. Just to let you know, the transmission in the Ram is doing the same thing it was doing before Christmas this last year, only worse. I'm not sure when it's going to come back. It's either going to come back with a new valve body again or a whole new transmission. So it's just bad when you put it in drive and it has to think about whether it's going to go forward. It's all under warranty, so that's all good. And I'm sure that you've all seen by reading the weekend review emails that city staff have all been quite busy as of late, but your leadership team stands ready if you have any questions or want anything clarified. That is the end of my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. That's good news if those grants come through.
I was very stoked about the grants.
I think the mayor should get a commission if you get it. Anyway, moving right along. Council reports, and I'll start with Council Hopper.
I read the chlorination update in the mailer written out. Feel like maybe it was a little bit light, like what we might need to warn people of, and I could be wrong, I'm just going off, literally just going off of what my water software guy was saying. Somebody like test, pre-test water and see if if it turns cloudy or what we might need to warn residents about. So, moving forward. In our mind, but
Sorry, I couldn't hear you real well. So
well, I'm worried that we're treading a little too lightly on what chlorinating our water might do to the drinkability and the appearance of it. Because that the announcement that went out in the R town was just kind of like, oh, you might see something, and I just don't know if we can like.
So I took in 6 samples to the water lab and to get a chlorination study on it, and they just came back. Certain areas of town look good, other areas not so good. So I need to talk to OAWU, get a little bit more insight on those samples. But according to how I look at it, it's a toss up. It just depends on how much iron is coming through at the time. So, but we're going to do a Q&A, and we're going to have OAWU and our engineers here for any questions that I can't answer or staff can. So that's, we just got to put it together.
And we wanted to do an initial, hey, this is coming. But Alan and his group are trying to gather more information to know exactly what is going to happen. And, you know, and that was a great lengthy conversation that he and I had actually today about, you know, what we can anticipate and how this is going to work, how we're going to flush it, how, you know, how much chlorination actually gets into the system. Because all we're required to have is a residual amount. A very, very small residual amount. So they're not even measuring it part of a million or giving us that type of a reading. It's just a residual test. But there's a presence of chlorine in the water. So finding that balance, I'm sure that when we turn it on and it starts hitting the system and we flush, it will certainly be stronger likely than over time as the residual types tend to set us out. And I don't know that much about water systems, but boy, I'm learning. But I can tell you that, you know, even today, Alan and I were talking about, he's been approached by somebody else who was talking about some type of chemical to use to get rid of the iron in the water, but
Potassium permanganate.
yeah. So
You need a sand filter with that.
you see, like here's what we came up with is the people that contacted Alan did not fill him in on everything that you were going to need for that process. And what was interesting is that we've only been, you know, we found out about this and then, but nobody else, OAWU, nobody else has mentioned this at all. Yep. So it was the first time.
Also, what were your turbidities on your testing? Your 6 sample points. Were they double digit or less?
I don't know. I don't know. I know the first, so this is the second round. When I first, when we first started getting water quality issues, I did a test, the same type of test. The turbidity came back and the water hardness came back very high.
What are we talking?
I don't know, I can email you that. I don't know right
We'll
off.
find out, we'll email you.
But this test, they didn't put the hardness on there. I didn't request it. The first test, I didn't request it, so. But to explain it a little bit better, so. I took the samples in and each sample, they put a little bit of chlorine in at a time. They read it, it doesn't turn color, so they put a little bit more in until it starts turning color. So 2 or 3 of the samples turn color right away. The other samples stay clear.
Of what were they testing for residual or were they testing?
No, just to see if it turned color, bring the iron out of solution. That's kind of what I was testing, just to see how the water would react to the chlorine.
Right. Oh, so you're talking about, it's basically your inorganics and your organics eating up your chlorine. So you're testing to see how much it'd take to keep a residual.
No, that's not, no, I was just trying to get to see what the color of the water would do. Because everybody's telling me it could turn or it could not. Yeah, I could have clear water, I could have orange water. I just wanted to see if I was gonna get orange water.
Well, the real world testing is anything that's in those pipes that's secured because of electrolysis, it's gonna come off. It's just like an artery with cholesterol in it. Once you give it blood thinners, which chlorine tends to be, it's gonna eat away all that stuff that's in that pipe. So imagine all your irons, your manganese, all those hard metals that have stuck to the pipe are gonna be coming out with it. And that's what I'm saying is, and so when Chief said it's gonna be a lot, the first go around, it ain't gonna be a lot because you're gonna have a lot of inorganics in there that's gonna eat up all your chlorine. And your chlorine's it's gonna be a guessing game for us at the very beginning. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of this stuff is gonna take time to dial in and I understand that, but people don't know that. And it's gonna be one of those things where we really need to be careful because parts of the system are older than others. And there's parts where in the newer parts of town, there are no metal pipes. They're just all PVC. So we gotta kind of go zone by zone and letting you know, no, you're in an older part of town, you are going to see, or you might not. We don't know yet, but this is what might happen. Worst case. So that's what I'm saying. I think that's what Council Hofer is saying. We don't want to be like, oh my gosh, you're gonna die because, we're chlorinating our water. No. Just expect to see this, just like when we're flushing our hydrants, you're gonna probably see dingy water for 3 days.
Yeah, we're gonna flush hydrants like crazy just to get this stuff through it. And then we're gonna bring down the reservoir as much as we can and then put new water in it. And then we might even do a controlled overflow, depending on what the engineers and OAW do.
Okay. Counselor Shaw's up.
Few questions. So I know we revisited the sewer lateral program. And I think not long ago, we also talked about looking at the sidewalk repair program. So we've been looking at a couple of programs and figuring out how to get folks to use them. I had a couple of conversations with some local business owners and I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's like community investment for if businesses want to revitalize, like what was the antique? I think the antique shop that turned into Hidden Bed, they peeled some of the 70s off of it and went back more original. You know what program I'm talking about, Colby? Where business owners can apply for additional funds to help beautify their businesses.
Well, there's facade improvement grants. I mean, that was something that's going on for a little while. I'm
Okay,
not sure if they're still running those programs.
okay, but I thought there was an application program to the city and the city had some funds that we could invest.
Oh, we did. Go ahead, Terry. You know more about that.
That was a program that we used in the COVID-19 funds for when Kevin was here. that program was short term. And so we no longer have a program for that.
Okay, so that makes the answer to my question easy. We don't need to revisit it and look into it at all, because it doesn't exist anymore. So check that one off the list. Have we had an opportunity to do any outreach with some of our local shops in regards to bringing them closer to alignment with our municipal and development codes, zoning codes?
So they,
Or,
yeah, it's not Colby, it's in my house.
okay,
So I don't know, and I can't speak to how much has been done. But that's been assigned to Deputy Chief Paul.
okay.
So.
I noticed one of the issues has suddenly gone away again, so I was unaware if that issue took care of itself or if we had.
You're talking
started our
about,
outreach.
you're talking about Idlewild. It's good for now.
No, I'm talking about the one across from the fire station.
Well. It's all in process.
Okay. And then the last thing I had was, I was pleasantly surprised, the parent club with the St. Mary's worked with Scott at Discover Mount Angel to arrange a small fundraiser last Wednesday night, where proceeds from local restaurant, food truck, and ice cream truck would go to the school. And I was pleasantly shocked at the turnout. It was what, about an hour for food? About 30 minutes for a table, sometimes 45. It was things that you don't normally see in downtown Mount Angel. And so I know that there has been a little bit of interest in potentially doing that again. And hopefully the turnout wasn't a fluke. And so I just made the suggestion that maybe the next time we do it, we could somehow partner up with one of our next Friday events to try to piggyback those to stuff downtown even better. So if that request comes across your desk, just so you're aware, will likely be end of May.
Yeah, that was an awesome event. Thanks for mentioning that. We were at the range shooting and, that blustery storm action,
It was terrible, wasn't it?
it was the worst, but, to our surprise that they were still there and still making food, the caporal was slinging burritos and making enchiladas or making everything that they were making, and, we came back and, that's where the entire police department ate. When we concluded with the range, so it was pretty awesome.
We came down, put it in to go order, went got ice cream, waited another 45 minutes, and then got it to go order and went home.
And the pineapple ice cream was very good.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Astorga.
Not much other than, our shop teacher and I were talking and, hopefully we're gonna have enough wares that we're gonna start turning up our production of wares for Oktoberfest this year. So hopefully high school shop class will have quite a bit to sell in those 4 days. We did have quite a big turnout for Volksfest and sold out quite a bit of the metal shop stuff. Some of the wood shop stuff was still left over, but a few days later, a lot of folks were like, we liked it, we didn't have enough cash on us, but we want it, so then we ended up selling a few more things later afterwards, but very fun to see those kids pumping out some pretty cool items, and their creativity was pretty cool.
I talked to people, they love them.
Yeah. I love the horseshoe rack. I had one of the kids make me one of those horseshoe hat racks. I want one. Make me.
You did a good job.
Yep.
Is that it then?
Yep.
Counselor Donahue.
This stupid question, what's going on with the fountain? Is it broken permanently? Is it just not run this time of year?
It's not running this time of year, but it's a monster to maintain. So, but we do have a person dedicated to it
I know,
finally, so.
that's why.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Can I ask who that person is? The,
Yeah, it's Pierre Paradis.
here,
I
okay,
think he's the one that's doing it.
okay. I just have a random question, that's all.
Oh. If I'm wrong, I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure it's him. Okay. And it does get soaked still, so that be all.
Yep.
When it's running, the soap gets in there too, so. How's the eater?
So can somebody enlighten me what is actually going on with the Benedictine sisters once things are transferred? With both sides of the road?
I think we have to go to their transfer ceremony, I don't know. I can give you kind of maybe a 30,000 foot guess, but beyond that, I really don't know. It's a transfer ceremony between them and Catholic Community Services. And, there's, I honestly, I can't keep track of who's doing what and what they plan to do this week for any of those properties.
There's a lot of rumors thrown around, but
Yeah. Colby, anything more that you can add?
One thing I know for right now is that the property over there at St. Joseph Shelter, there's about 7 acres over there. They're all different tax lots, but in total it's about 7 acres. It is still for sale. I've been getting calls from developers, asking what they can do with the property. So I know that's still ongoing. And it looks like they're just looking for a buyer. But as far as the east side, I haven't heard of them.
thank you.
Okay, student counselor, your turn.
Okay, I have kind of just a brief update because it's been kind of slow this time of year.
Okay.
At the high school specifically, senior class was just selected for NAEP testing. So it was like they chose random schools in Oregon. And our class was just randomly selected, and it goes towards like research on Oregon public school education and where students are at. So that was something we just participated in. The bond committee just had their first meeting after that bond passed last year, February 5th, I believe. The details weren't entirely disclosed on where that funding is going to be allocated, but I know heating is definitely on the list because we don't have great heating systems in any of our schools at the moment. And then just lastly, spring sports just started, which is sad for me in the basketball teams, but good for spring athletes, so.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna do mayor's report. I don't have much to report other than lacking a life. I watched the legislative weekend last Friday. So our short session is still in progress. It has to end constitutionally by March 10th, so that's a good thing. There's a couple of things that will affect us. One is they have, for lack of a better term, recriminalized some drug crimes that were based on ballot measure 110s. So they're supposed to, you probably have forgotten more about this than I'll ever know, but I know that the league and the counties and the sheriffs and the police have all been working together with the legislature to make some changes with that. Not everyone got what they wanted, but I guess it could be an improvement. You want to
Yeah,
add anything to that?
Sure. I'm the vice president of the Oregon Association of Chiefs of Police. And I was at the table every time they had a big meeting. I was a part of it. And so this work on ballot measure 110 was really to give certainly law enforcement a little bit more teeth and to add some governmental interest into enforcing our drug laws in the state. But all that to say, all of us at the table are all about getting people treatment and getting people off drugs and doing everything that we can to divert, to do whatever we can to keep them out of the criminal justice system, but to give them an opportunity to get healed, if you will. But by recriminalizing hard drugs at the unclassified misdemeanor level, it gives the diversion and the divert an opportunity to work. But if people, it's kind of like a DUI. So if people choose not to divert, if they choose not to go down diversion, they fail diversion, there are sanctions involved with that. And so we have the ability to bring somebody in and give them sanctions up to 180 days. To then get them off the street and perhaps to get them into some treatment within the facilities, whatever we can offer. The really big thing about this is really not the recriminalization, more in that they're going to be pumping money into the right places to create the diversion and divert programs so that we have the ability to try and help people get through their addiction. But it also, go back to the criminalization, it gives police departments around the state, because it's an unclassified misdemeanor, the ability to actually arrest someone. And it gives us the ability to use force when necessary. Initially, under the C misdemeanor, there's no governmental interest really attached to that. This wouldn't get prosecuted, it's not gonna get prosecuted even perhaps an infraction level, the same level as it is right now, traffic ticket. So we're certainly not going to apply and use force in that case. There's many police departments in the state that have never written a belt measure 110 ticket, just because it's just not worth their time. This is a correction in the right direction. We'll see how it goes. But unified, the police chiefs, the sheriffs, the district attorneys, even the folks that were going to be putting a new ballot measure on the ballot to repeal ballot measure 110, those folks decided to stop their action because this gets us kind of to where we need to go, and we'll really focus on treatment and diversion, and hopefully we'll get some folks to rethink what they're doing. In the larger communities, it gives the officers, the deputies, the state troopers the ability to enforce laws, so that if you happen to go into downtown Portland, Salem, Eugene, Medford, wherever, people have been smoking fentanyl right in front of everybody else on the sidewalks and using other hard drugs, you're not going to see that anymore. And they're actually going to be able to take those people and get them off the street and make our communities a little bit safer. I will say fentanyl is definitely here. You know, we've got our first fentanyl in our evidence room, and we've gone a really long time without having any. Yeah, we do now. So it's definitely here. We're hoping to stave off a lot of overdoses. There's a lot of work being done on the Narcan side, naloxone, and then there's even another drug that's being offered that specifically attacks the non-traditional opioids. So it's far from being over, but there's a lot of people that came together in a bipartisan manner to make something a little bit better here in the state, because it obviously went way too far and didn't have the effects that it was really given. Really didn't shake out the way that it was purported.
May I ask a question?
You can ask me anyone.
Yeah, this might be kind of a small question, but you talked briefly about like the rehabilitation programs that you were saying.
Mhm.
What does that look like in our community?
That's a great question, because it's, you know, those dollars have got to filter to a organization that has the ability to do that, right? So the new law, if you will, that just got passed by the House and Senate, diversion and to be able to divert somebody or to, you know, get them into treatment where it's applicable, you know, where it's feasible. It's really hard, and that's where a lot of this money is going to have to be spent, not just in the big cities, right? But in smaller communities that have the ability to then connect people to those resources. Marion County is big enough and Salem's big enough, and we're only 18 miles away, that we do have the connections with the reach out, you know, the outreach people. It's the same folks that we were using for ballot measure 110 citations. But we're hoping that because of the money that's going to be filtered out and into these programs, that there will be more startups, there will be more of them available. I don't know about Mount Angel in particular, but it's not a situation where the city is in a position to create a program like that.
But it is possible to have those kind of partnerships with other cities within the county.
Oh, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Okay,
We're still very early in this.
thank you.
And you're welcome.
Anybody have any questions about that? It's one of the few times since I've been around that everybody seemed fairly pleased with the final product, and that's probably because everybody was working together, but the other thing is, the legislature passed a temporary bill to restore recreational immunity to cities and counties and the special districts, which is a big deal. Because the Supreme Court essentially took that away with the Newport case. And so the legislature recognized that it's a big deal. I mean, there are people talking about closing their parks and their trail, some counties closing trails, which is not what the intent of recreation is. So anyway, so this is a temporary measure, and they're going to take it up in the full session next time. And then the other big deal is the governor's main legislative program this time was housing. I don't think a lot of the things that were passed, they passed quite a bit of money for housing and homelessness and all that. I don't think much of that will ever filter down to us. And since we just passed our Housing Needs Association, we don't need any more land right now. So, but it'll be good for the state if that issue can get tackled a little better than it has been. So those are the main things, and they expect to wrap it up Friday or this weekend. That's a short session, so that's about it. And anything else for the good of the order before I adjourn this lovely meeting?
I want to say one thing. I think I can speak for everybody here, Mark, but thank you for everything you do. Your grant writing ability out there seeking funds for the city. That means a lot.
A lot further to go. In fact, when we were visiting with the county, and thank you very much for saying that. There's a guy that I never met before. He came up to me and he started rattling off grant after grant after grant after grant after grant that he thinks we would be eligible for. I'm like, who the heck are you? And where did you come from?
Who cares? Buy him a beer, figure it out.
So, yeah, he's gonna be one of my newest buddies. Please be working. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, thank you.
I second that. So we are adjourned.
Excited to see the new bleachers come through. I saw the